What's up, everyone, and thank you for coming back for another episode of Absolutely Awesome. This is where me and my friends talk about things and topics that we find absolutely awesome. Now, Tim I've known since we were kids, high school age I've known Tim. We've been involved in a lot of crazy harebrained stuff over the years. And we've also, actually next month, me and Tim are going to get into some of the paranormal stuff that we've been involved in over the years. But right now, we want to continue some of the UFO talk that me and Tom were having. Right, Tim?
Word.
All right, now, one of the things I want to do is I want to take a look at some of the experts. Because people have been attacking them lately, especially the debunkers. And trust me, I'm going to get to the debunkers, for Christ's sake. But, I mean, for example, two of the most outspoken proponents that we have about the UFO experience, what's going on right now, the drops Congress have been making, plus their own, at least one of them, their own personal experience, they're not being taken seriously. And I don't understand why. And those two names are Dr. Travis Taylor and Dr. Michio Kaku.
Yeah, he's surprising, but yeah.
So both of these individuals, and I'm not just calling them doctor for nothing, they literally have doctoral degrees. Travis, did you know that Travis has 2 PhDs?
I knew he was smart. I didn't know he had 2. But...
He has a PhD in optical science and engineering, and he also has a PhD in aerospace systems engineering.
Right.
How long did it take someone to get 1 PhD? This guy's got 2. He's got 2 master's degree in physics and astronomy, and he's got a bachelor's in electrical engineering.
Yeah.
Right there, as far as expertise goes, I think this guy has a lot under his belt.
Yeah, super smart, you would think, with all that technical engineering background.
Now, on top of that, you look at the fact that for over 25 years, on and off, but for over 25 years, he's worked directly with NASA. And he's also worked directly with the Department of Defense.
Right.
I think someone like that tends to know what they're talking about in a field concerning anything from space.
Yeah.
Now, Michio Kaku...
They know a lot more of what the government does that we don't know about. They know about.
Yeah, because of their own expertise or because of them working directly with the government on projects.
Yeah, especially that, yeah.
And, let's take a look at Michio Kaku. The guy's a rock star.
Yeah. He's uber smart.
And also, any damn TV show that has anything to do with science, there's going to be a snippet or segment with Dr. Michio Kaku on it.
Yeah, for sure. All the time.
Well, you see, now that's another problem. Before I get back to Michio, let me just say that's another problem I've been noticing with detractors, is they keep pointing out that Dr. Travis Taylor and Dr. Michio Kaku are television scientists, that they go on TV shows and reality shows. So why should we believe them?
Right.
But anyway, Dr. Michio Kaku, the guy was first in his physics class, graduated summa cum laude from Harvard University.
Let's be clear. He wasn't on TV with the Kardashians.
Yeah. Yeah. He was working his ass off. He has a PhD in radiation. He holds the Henry Semmett Chair and Professorship of Theoretical Physics at CUNY University, which he's held for over 25 years.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is an expert on just about anything scientific.
Right.
And neither of them are Johnny-come-lately. They've all have decades of working intently and being respected in their fields.
Right.
But yet they're treated like jokes because like Travis is on Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch. No one wants to take him serious.
Right. It's like, doctors in the Middle Ages that thought maybe leeches weren't the best idea and had other ideas, right? This is exactly how they were treated in that era, and this is the same thing.
Or maybe, I don't know, someone back in the Middle Ages saying the Earth wasn't the center of the universe. Oh, he's crazy.
Right.
He's nuts.
Right. He doesn't think like everybody else, so let's just throw him out, right?
Now, I think at some point, maybe before the next season starts, actually, I think you and me, I think it would be nice if we did did an episode here on Skinwalker Ranch, because so much has gone down over just over the last several years alone. I think it's worthy its own episode here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they pack so much into like a small amount of episodes that like they could take 1 out of 10 things and do 3 or 4 shows just on that one thing, and unpack it. But they it's TV, so they kind of just gotta throw it on there, and then the producers handle it, I guess,
And from a scientific point of view, I do think that Dr. Travis is doing a good job. He's following scientific procedures, and he has a lot of interesting ideas on how to proceed with things.
Right. Yeah, he goes through every effort to look at it from a scientific perspective, and the ability to reproduce it or come up with some other explanation for it. He doesn't just say, "Oh, that's something in the sky, it's a UFO." He's like, "Well, wait, let's see what this is," and comes up with 10 different ways to come at it, and he still comes out scratching his head every time.
And if you look at his career overall, he didn't always believe in all these things. His earlier career, he was just as much a maybe as anyone else. And it wasn't until he started things like working with the Department of Defense, working with NASA, and started learning about these things that he realized there's something going on here.
Yeah.
And I've never heard that. Think about this. I mean, that's what happened with J. Alec Hynek, too, with Project Blue Book. He came in as a skeptic at best. And before his first year was out, he was convinced that all of this shit was real and that the government was actively keeping this information from people. You never hear it the other way around. You never hear, "Oh, well, so-and-so was a scientist who was a believer, and now evidence has come forward and he or she no longer believes."
Right. I mean, well, if you're a real scientist and you can't get to the bottom of something and you don't know what it is, you can't just put a pin in it. You have to say, "I don't know what this is." We keep looking at it, but there's a process, and you can't ignore it. So,
I think what's happening is, and you see this with other fields, other questionable fields too, like parapsychology, is that too many scientists come into it with a preconceived notion or idea. Now, whether that's against it or for it, it's equally as bad. Because if you're coming into it against something, then you're never going to be truly looking at it from a scientific point of view. You're always going to be looking at it askewed.
Yeah.
And if you're coming into something believing in something, then it's a falsehood. It's a complete falsehood to just come into something and say, "Well, obviously everything is real, and my job here is just to prove to everyone else that it's real."
Right. Yeah, people that believe in absolutes are a pet peeve of mine. I don't claim to know everything. I can't explain everything. But when you go through the depths and you can't explain it, you gotta just throw your hands up and say, "This is something we don't know what it is."
I've spent so many, and since you've known me since high school, and of course, obviously, no names, because we love our friends, no names are ever going to be mentioned, but you know that I've had some knockdown, drag-out arguments with some friends of ours over the years, some intelligent, or at least at the time what I thought was intelligent individuals, and all I ever asked for, Tim, I remember one of them just finally, after years, just almost yelling at me, "John, what is it? What do you want from me, John? Do you want me to say I believe? Okay, fine, I believe." And I said, "No, I don't want you to say you believe." And especially like that, all I ever asked for, and I even said in that incident, was keep an open mind to possibilities.
Right. I personally question everything, even if I think I know something, I question it. There's no room for absolutism.
No, because that's just a path to, and that path's going to end up with you hitting your head against a brick wall eventually.
Right, a self-constructed brick wall.
Self-constructed.
Get around it.
Exactly. And it's not just our friends. I'm not picking and pointing fingers at people that we personally know. I'm just using that as an example. Now, these are our friends. They're intelligent individuals, but they're like, let's face it, they're normal level intelligent like us. They're not super intelligent like scientists are.
Right.
So when you see a few scientists come out that are all against this, and you can't find a good reason why, To me, that's a red flag. That's almost like, feels like disinformation on a plate.
Right. It's like religion cultism. It's, you don't believe what I believe, so you're a pariah. I don't know.
No, you're right. That unfortunately is a very common attitude that humans as a group tend to have.
It's true.
But and I mentioned this in another video. That is a survival mechanism. I believe wholeheartedly that is a survival mechanism that goes back to our human ancestors' earliest days. Anything that's different has to be attacked, because if it's different, it's not of your tribe, it's not of your kin. Therefore, it is a threat to resources, to women, to everything your tribe needs to survive. So yes, attack, kill even, because that protects. But nowadays, this isn't the day and age that we even need to think about living like that anymore. But yet, it's still instinctual. It's maybe not reptilian part of our brain. And I know that's even argued nowadays. That really doesn't exist. But to use that old example, it isn't really the reptilian part of the brain. It might be like the lowest level of the mammalian part of the brain that touches the reptile. That's how low it is. And as a society, we're so past that. But remnants of that attitude are found in so much of our human activities. Our likes and our dislikes are so wrapped around that core concept still.
Society is built on it, you could say. Or
brainwashed into it, maybe.
Yeah, I didn't say that. You said that, but that's kind of what I meant.
We're talking about the believers in this, the scientists that are unfortunately being attacked because of this belief. But let's just take a look at exactly what this is, possibly that could be real. That's being attacked here. Is when you look at the broken record. I mentioned this in at least one other episode. This will be the last time. If you look at the earliest and the oldest records left by our ancestors, the pre-Babylonian writings, going all the way back to ancient Sumer, what you find is a list of kings. And these kings are all gods that lived for thousands of years until they left. And according to our ancestors, when the gods left the earth, they gave kingship of man to man. So we have been ruling ourselves by their decree ever since. So that's why everything's about brainwashing. Everything's about keeping the people docile and controlled. One, because it keeps you in power. And two, when they come back, you don't think they want to see that you let everything go to shit. They want control. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think you're probably not wrong. I'm open to it. That's the way religions function. That's the way society basically functions. Anything larger than your family unit probably functions the same way.
You, like me, although you don't consider yourself, as far as I know, you don't consider yourself anymore, but like me, we were both raised Roman Catholic.
I'm not anymore.
No, you're not. Just like me, we're not anymore. But you do remember basically what every little kid raised in Roman Catholicism is told. And that's that God, this old bearded guy in the sky, is watching you and judging everything you do. I find that really interesting because with the way our own technology is going now, our own telescopes are maybe 100 years away from literally being able to see the surface of Proxima B the way our satellites can look at the street outside my window so clearly.
Right.
So if that's the case, then they, whoever they are, all of whoever they are, who are at least that technologically advanced, can be doing the same thing to us. We could be being watched from some distant planet right now, being judged.
I would say not only is it possible, I would say it's likely, just given the time, what am I trying to say?
Like the time dilation between seeing things far away?
Yeah, and just the age of universes that predate ours by trillions of years, right? So technology out there has to be way more advanced than anything we could even imagine.
We're going to get into a big technology discussion in the next episode. I see you planting the seeds already. And you're right. I'll just leave it to this before we get into that episode. But for no other reason alone are you right about the concept of super tech. Let's just call it super tech. Magic tech, right? Because it's so far advanced, is absolutely 100% true, Tim. Because if you've ever seen the t-shirt or the poster with the Milky Way galaxy and the "You Are Here" pin on it, that's fairly accurate. We're in a spiral arm. We're in the outlying reaches of the galaxy, the boondocks of the Milky Way galaxy. The galactic center is so much older than where we are. So anything that has evolved in the Milky Way galaxy that would have started closer to galactic center is going to be millions of years older than us. In fact, I mentioned this, I think, in the first or the second episode, and you weren't here for it. I mentioned this as I honestly believe that the Milky Way galaxy is, if you want to put it in the perspective of the Kardashev scale. You're familiar with the Kardashev scale?
No, it doesn't. The name doesn't ring a bell.
The scientist, named after the scientist that came up with the idea. And basically it's, we would be, they say we're about 0.7 on the Kardashev scale. A level 1 society means that they have harnessed the entire planet. They can control the planet.
Yes.
Level 2, their solar system, and level 3, their galaxy. I believe we are in a Kardashev scale level 3 galaxy. I think some society much closer to galactic center, that was one of the first cultures to evolve, survive long enough to become a tech society, get into space. I think they own space now. Being the first ones in space, I think that they dominated space, and I think they treat the galaxy like a nursery for plants. And they come across other worlds that are developing and obviously aren't at their level, since they have a million years head start on everyone. And they decide what to do with the planet. Maybe this is going to be a planet where they're going to seed a certain type of life. Maybe this is what they're going to use just for mining resources that they need. And when it comes to us, we're like the Amazon tribe that was discovered decades ago. That Stone Age tribe that was discovered in the Amazon that knew nothing of the real world. And so the world basically came together and said, don't touch them. We have to leave. They pulled a Star Trek Prime directive.
Right.
And they slowly introduced the concept of an outside world to them over years, maybe even decades. That's what's going on here, I think. I think that we are being introduced slowly to what's going on.
Yeah, I would go farther and even say we're the ants that live in that Amazon village, man, compared to what could be out there.
Well, I mean, the reason I wouldn't agree with it going down that far on the scale is because we have reached a point where, although it was only our local neighbor here, we did tread on a foreign planet. We walked on the moon. We have devices on foreign planets. And in fact, Voyager 1 and 2 have now passed the heliosphere and are in chaos. The signals they're sending back are unreadable. We don't know if it's because of the radiation or the instrument failure, or maybe these are just the real readings and we cannot in any way, shape, or form comprehend them. But we have made our presence known beyond our planet. So no, I don't think they would see us as an ant. Actually, I used to question the whole atomic war thing. You know, when I heard that is the reason aliens really started taking notice of Earth again, since they were here last millions of years ago, that it was because of the atomic weapons that got set off. But now I'm beginning to think there is something to it, because that gave them a reason to look in our direction. And now seeing that we are breaking our confines of our prison, that gives them a reason to investigate us personally.
Right.
Another thing I've already treaded on, to be quick with you, is if you go back, every single story, I guarantee you, every single story you ever heard about an abduction or a contactee, none of the encounters that they've had with any of the different alien forms that have been reported, there's been no chaos with the aliens. You know, there's no hillbillies or gangbangers.
Right.
They're all uniformed. They all have purpose. They all seem very, very scientific. And because of that, I've been beginning to think that that's because of that. That's because of the first society. I don't know what to call them. Right? The first society in the galactic empire of what we call the Milky Way. That they've been imposing this morality code on every minor society they meet because they don't want what we would call cowboys in space.
Right, they don't want the space Viking raping and pillaging.
No, because if you now this is we're 22 minutes in. We'll go a few more minutes because it's rounding into what you want to talk about. I think the reason for this is because when you're dealing with a technology whose level is so extreme, Tim, that you can cross intergalactic space, you can wormhole technology. Who knows how vast this is? But that's the problem. It is so vast, you can literally throw planets at other planets. You're not going to wage war because war at that level is destructive on an entire galactic level.
Right, yeah. That sort of reminds me of Saturn theory, if you're familiar with that.
Saturn theory? No. What, not by name, anyway. What is it?
Well, yeah, it involved Saturn actually was a sun at one point. It was a star, some kind of brown dwarf star or something, and two solar systems merged, and that star burned out. So now it's a planet. But yeah, like
now
whether or not that happened naturally or was caused by something else, I don't know. But yeah, look up Saturn theory. It's really interesting. The first time I heard it, I went, no. But then I listened to someone talk about it and went, okay, I'll think about that.
Well, that's interesting. There was something I haven't looked into. Whoa, Tim's gone. Let's see if he gets back. Maybe not. Oh, no. Hold on. Let me see what's going on. This might be an early end. Let me see what's going on. Yeah, the Zoom meeting is over. That's what happened. Well, we're going to set up for another episode, and since we've already started getting into it, that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the tech side of UFOs. So, Tim will be back in a moment. But until the next episode, I hope everything about your life is absolutely awesome.